All right, look, man. It's a lot of controversy regarding this video, man. I'm here, Karen, at Karen Harder. I'm going to tell you something. Ole Miss hasn't necessarily been a powerhouse, but they have always managed to get recruits, bring in money, and bring in revenue. Bottom line is they sign top-ranked athletes and they sign players. That's what I'm saying. They don't have to. It's not necessarily a powerhouse because they've had their ups and downs, but they get players. They got money. They get revenue, and that's always gonna prevail. Money over, what I'm saying. Money, facilities, always gonna prevail over anything else. I mean, it's just the facts. And Courtney, yes, you're late. My hair's always been blonde. And Jeff Browning, and I see your comment here about, we're not competing against 4-star or 5-star athletes. That doesn't necessarily mean that we can't recruit them. So just because you saying athletes are 4-star, 5-star athletes, Memphis can't recruit them because because you think they're not good enough, or what are you saying? I feel like any school or any coach can try and recruit any player he wants. So if they want a 5-star recruit or a 4-star recruit, that's what they can do that. But if they choose to do this, it's not going to get very far due to the fact that we're in the center of 3, 4, 5 football powerhouses that has money, fans, revenue, facilities, all of the above. And Ingram, I mean, the 4-star, 5-star recruit thing may not mean nothing to you, but yes, coaches do look at this. Coaches do look at your status when you leave high school. All these camps, all of this jazz, it's for exposure, to showcase your talents. And if you're ranked at these exposure camps, then coaches are going to look at that. They're going to see that. They're going to know this. I mean, all this recruiting and all this exposure and all this 4-star, 5-star crap, it's all word of mouth. And due to what is done on the field, you know what I'm saying, prior to when they get to these camps and when they get to these, arenas and showcases and all this stuff. But and Jeff, I see what you said. LP was in over his head and should have never been hired. Are you kidding? He was a great recruiter, yes. But I mean, I know this has nothing to do with basketball, but I loved Cal to death. I thought he couldn't coach worth a hill of beans, but he could recruit his tail off though. So recruiting plays a big part in the athletic program. So please, let's not go there with the whole recruiting thing, because I could go on days about this. But like it's a football team. I don't think people realize how many people are on a football roster. It takes time. You can't build a football program overnight. LP was headed in the right direction. He had good recruits. He had good people because he had relationships with people prior to when he came to Memphis. And these people chose to come to Memphis. Yeah, it was bad because he chased some of the Memphis kids out of there with the recruits that he had or the relationships he had with the people coming in. But LP was headed in the right direction. All he needed was time. You can't build a football program overnight because you got 70, maybe 80 some odd kids on a football roster. So that takes time. So all this talk about LP wasn't good enough or LP didn't know what he was doing, you need time to build a football program. You need patience. And what people in Memphis wanted was immediate results. And that couldn't happen. That can't happen in a football program. It takes time. You need to build a dynasty when it comes to football. So, I mean, you got to think about stuff like that before you say LP wasn't good enough or RC didn't know what he was doing with the coaching and stuff like that. First off, Memphis was already down in the dumps. So you gotta find a coach that's willing to risk his neck, put his neck on the line to try and build something from ground zero. So everybody that's out there talking about LP wasn't good enough, I think that's baloney. And I think you need to reconsider what you're talking about.